Should you get Carnelian? Short answer, yes. Long answer, this entire video.
ごきげんよう、みんな。気をつけなよ。そう早く切り裂かれないようにね。
Carnelian is a 6-star phalanx caster from Saga. A cool lady in front of her allies, but ruthless against her enemies. And apparently operates Beeswax's older sister. That is currently working with Rhodes Island. As a phalanx caster, Carnelian can only attacks when her skill is active. And when it's active, it will deal AoE arts damage to all the enemies in her range. She is also resilient to physical and arts damage when idle, thanks to her trait. But what makes Carnelian unique is that she can overcharge her skills by waiting until her skill activations has double the required amount of SP. This charge skills will have a different and stronger impact compared to non-charge skill. So make sure to always overcharge her skills. As for her general stats, this is her general stats without the boost from her trait, or when her skill is active. She has a big attack of arts damage. Meanwhile her 2 seconds attack speed is quite concerning. But thankfully, her strong skills and AoE attacks will make up to that. Moving to her talents, her first talent. She will recover some percentage of HP when we activate her skill. And when we activate the overcharge skill, that healing will be doubled. Needless to say, it's a nice talent to have, making her into a self-sufficient attacker with the little need of healer. As for her second talent, when SP is above the limit, or should I say when she's overcharging her skill, she will increase her SP recovery speed by 0.6 SP per second. This talent is definitely very useful, allowing her to overcharge her skills faster than before. And surprisingly, this talent also stacks with other operators' talent, like Telopsis or Mostoma, so having one of them in the same field with Carnelian is really recommended. And then moving to her skills. The first skill. She will increase her attack and defense. And when charged, her trait will remains when this skill is active. This is a good skill for starter, with a cheap SP cost. And the charged effects will make her tanky against enemies' attack. So with that said, it's a good skill to use. But for Mastery 3, you might want to mastery her other skills first. Moving to her second skill. It will reduce her attack interval, so now she will attack every 0.9 seconds. Even faster than single target caster. And her attacks will inflict slow to the enemies. As for the charged effects, it will increase her attacks. And every attack will now inflict bind instead of slows. This is a good crowd control skill that can slows or bind. And considering her very short attack interval and her big attack stats, Carnelian can frequently interrupt her enemies, as well as giving massive damage to them. This second skill is a good option to M3. If you need someone that can do crowd control and DPS at the same time. But for overall big number damage, you might want to choose the next skill. Her third skill. It will expand her attack range. And her attack damage will gradually increase. As for the charged version, she will attack and places stackable marks on enemies. Each stack of mark will increase damage taken by the target from Carnelian. At 5 marks, she will effectively double her damage to the enemies. This is a very strong DPS skill. But of course, there's a little drawback. The uncharged version of this skill will gradually increase her damage. So she might need some time before she can unleash her huge damage. The charged version is also pretty much the same. In order for her to unleash her full damage from this skill, she will need to attack or mark the enemy 5 times. Roughly she will need 10 seconds in order for her to fully mark the enemy. So it will take a good portion of her skill duration before she can attack enemies with her full attack. But regardless, it's still a good option for DPS. And luckily, this third skill works well with buffer unit like A. Ak third skill can both increase Carnelian attack speed and damage, resulting her to quickly mark her enemies, and then increase her attack. And also, since Ak can buff Carnelian easily without killing her, these two can work well together. As for her base skill, Carnelian will increase the training speed of caster operators by plus 60%. So, will Carnelian become a good operator for your team? If you don't have a strong arts damager, or any 6-star caster, Carnelian is a good operator to have, but don't expect her to be a broken unit. She can deal AoE arts damage to all of the enemies in her range, and comes with a unique attack range, and tanky stats that might come in handy. Her skill 2 is a great combination of DPS and crowd control. Personally I prefer this one to M3 first, to bind enemy bosses, and deals a massive damage to them at the same time. The skill 3 is also a good one to M3, if you manage to attack multiple enemies in this skill range. This third skill can easily beat the almighty Aegir in terms of DPS, especially if you have buffer unit in your disposal. So grab your wallet, we got a motivated sister to gacha. That should be all. Adios.